Hi HMS modelers, this is Matt Fleming, and in this short video I'm going to talk to you about how HMS manages the GIS data files that are generated with some of the newer GIS tools in the software. So in the next slide we see just a basic file or directory for a project in HMS. You'll notice there's a number of folders at the top of the project directory, and that's where the program's going to store specific information for things like optimization trials, the Monte Carlo or the uncertainty analysis, and so on. And in the bottom half of the project directory, that's where the program's going to store some specific files for like the basin model, the meteorologic model, simulation runs, and so on. And so the GIS specific files that I want to talk about in this video are, we have the GIS directory, and we'll talk about what information is saved there. The terrain directory, as that one's named, that's where the terrain data files are going to be stored. So whenever you use the terrain data manager to create a new terrain data object, that information or that geotiff is going to be stored in the terrain directory. And then finally right here, this is the SQLite file. And you'll notice this file has the same name as the basin model file. So for each .basin file or basin model, there's going to be a corresponding SQLite file. And that's where the GIS or the geographic information for each of the subbasins and reaches and other elements are going to be stored. So in addition to coordinate information, you're also going to have information like the structured discretization. So for each of those grid cells, its geographic location, and then travel length and area for each of those grid cells. And then also, if you ever see a project or you get a project from me, you're going to notice that I usually create a maps directory. And the reason I like to create that maps directory, that's where I store any of the background shape files or other files, GIS type files that I want to display in a basin model. I like to keep those files contained within the project directory. Alright, so in this next slide, you see a portion of the .basin file. So this is the file where the program saves information about all the elements in the basin model. So for your subbasin elements and reach elements and so on, which methods are you using to model different hydrologic processes? What are the parameter values that you specified? All that information is contained in the .basin file. The type of GIS information that you're going to see in there. So in this figure, you see it's zoomed into the portion of the file that contains the coordinate system. So this is the coordinate system for the basin model right here. For this specific basin model, the Mahoning Creek basin right here. And so you can see the coordinate system is the North American datum NAD 83. It should be the Albers equal area projection right here. And then you can see the horizontal units down here and so on. So there's the specs for the projection right there. And that's going to be contained in the .basin file. Also in the basin file, you're going to see more information about the GIS layers that are used. And so here in the basin layer properties block of text, you should see for each of those background map layers, you can see the file name that's used or where that file lives on the computer. So the nice thing about keeping these files local to the project, you notice that the program's going to use this relative path name right here when it references the file. So if you move this project from one location to another on your computer or to a different computer, the program's going to still be able to find and visualize that GIS information. All right, so in this last slide, this is showing the GIS directory. And so the GIS directory is where the program automatically saves any of those geotiffs that are generated during the GIS delineation process. And so here we have one basin model in that project. The basin model is called Mahoning Creek. So the program's going to create a new Mahoning Creek directory within this GIS folder. And within the Mahoning Creek folder, you're going to notice all those different geotiffs like the sink fill geotiff, the flow accumulation, flow direction, and so on. So as you go through those GIS delineation steps, the program will save all of those geotiffs in this directory right here.